How's it going, everyone? This is the George here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu. That's right, after almost 7 years since Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, a new Star Wars movie has come out, directed by Jon Favreau, who also created The Mandalorian, and once again stars Pedro Pascal as Mando, and of course also features Baby Grogu. This is highlighting the fact that this is taking place in a post Return of the Jedi world, but before the events of Force Awakens, the Empire's been taken down. Mando is trying to capture what's left of the Empire, but also gets tangled up into family drama, particularly involving Jabba the Hutt's son, Rada the Hutt. And we basically got our adventure. And there was actually another Star Wars movie, the Clone Wars movie from 2008, that also had this Jabba the Hutt family drama. So, as I mentioned before, it's been almost 7 years since the Star Wars movie has come out, Rise of Skywalker, at the end of 2019. Star Wars has been a roller coaster of a ride since then. In fact, it's been a roller coaster of a ride during the Disney era. Started off strong with Force Awakens and Rogue One. Has been hit or miss, whether it's with the films or with the shows. But Mandalorian has been something that has worked, at least the first two seasons. Not so much season three, but the first two seasons are beloved. They've been praised. I remember when I first watched Mandalorian, it felt fresh and unique for the Star Wars franchise, which I think was needed at the time. And of course, Baby Yoda, who is now officially referred to as Grogu, he's beloved. Mando, Din Djarin has become a beloved character as well. This has been the one property that Disney has created in their Disney Star Wars era that seems to have worked. So it makes sense that they would want to make a movie about this. But this was also greenlit a year after other Disney projects were also greenlit. And by the way, I'm not going to go too deep into spoilers because I'm going to be doing a spoiler talk review later tonight for Common Sense and Pop Culture. So this isn't going to be that long of a review. But anyways, a year before this got greenlit, I think this got greenlit in 2024. They were saying they wanted to do an Old Republic movie that James Mangold would direct, a movie focused on Rey creating a new Jedi Order, and something focusing more on Dave Filoni era characters. And these movies have either not gone into production or they've been canceled. I'm not too sure, but clearly nothing has progressed with them. So, of course, this is the first movie to come out in this new Disney movie era. And of course, we've got another movie coming out directed by Sean Levy next year, starring Ryan Gosling. But what do I think of this first Disney movie to come out post Rise of Skywalker? It's fun and enjoyable. I did enjoy it overall. I did enjoy it more than Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, and I'll even put Solo up there, even though I do like Solo. Um, and of course, the Clone Wars movie from 2008. So it's definitely far from being the worst or my least favorite Star Wars movie. I had a fun time with it. I enjoy these characters. It's always good to see more Mandalorian and Grogu stuff. Pedro Pascal's excellent as always in this role. Baby Yoda steals every scene, although there is a moment in the movie that's more focused on Baby Yoda that something happens. I'm going to get more into it in the spoiler review, but something happens and it's more focused on Grogu. Keep calling him Baby Yoda. I got so used to it, but it's focused on Grogu. And it just feels like the movie slows down quite suddenly and it starts to get a little dull and boring. But luckily, it does pick up after a bit. But overall, I enjoyed it. When Mandalorian is being John Wick, when Din Djarin's just taking guys out, particularly in like the first half of this movie, it's awesome. It's excellent. The action, half the time the action looks really good. Half the time the action looks sloppy. I think, to be fair, a couple of times the action was meant to look sloppy, so I'm not gonna grill it. But I think that was only a couple of times it was meant to be. The other times they could have been more smoother. But when it's doing the John Wick in Star Wars like action, it is hitting all the marks. It's doing a great job. The character Rada the Hutt, While I wasn't impressed with his voice performance, I think it was Jeremy Allen White that voiced him. I liked the character art that they went with, that he wants to be different from his father. And it does feel like there is some development and an arc with that character that I thought was handled pretty well. And I'm pretty sure Rod of the Hutt was a main focus in the Star Wars The Clone Wars movie, but I think this arc was definitely better. Um, some of the special effects look really good. Some of them look like they're still made for the Mandalorian show. And I'm going to get more into that in a couple of minutes. But some of the effects for like some of the creatures, there's this monster thing that the Huts feed their enemies to that looks really cool. I thought it looked really well animated. But then there's also some creatures that don't look that smoothly, that don't look all that great. Ludwig Göransson's score is excellent as always. I would not be opposed if Ludwig Göransson did the score for other future Star Wars movies. I know usually John Williams does it for the main Star Wars movies, but I think after Rise of Skywalker, he retired from doing Star Wars movies. So if Ludwig keeps doing more scores for Star Wars beyond just Mandalorian, I'm not opposed to it. And now to get to the stuff that I have the more mixed negative thoughts on, and it's basically how this movie was made. And it feels like this movie, while it's enjoyable and fun, it's not a bad Star Wars project. It in reality, it feels more like four good, not great, but not terrible episodes of Mandalorian crammed into a 2 hour and 10-minute movie. These would have been four good episodes for the beginning of a season four, or maybe even the ending of a season four, that they decided to put into a Star Wars movie because they just want to get a Star Wars movie in there. I feel like that's why this movie was made. Again, I say it's not a bad Star Wars project, but for a movie, it feels disappointing that this is the first Star Wars movie to come out since Rise of Skywalker, because Star Wars movies, most of them feel like an event. They're usually an event, and the event can be phenomenal, like Empire Strikes Back. They can be very good, like Rogue One. They can even not be that good, like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. If you still have a problem with the prequels, like not Empire, Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, it still feels like an event. It still feels like big things are happening. And I know there's been a couple Star Wars movies like Solo, Star Wars Story, that don't have the biggest stakes, that are still fun adventures. But you can't help but feel like that a Star Wars movie should feel like an event. First of all, the marketing felt non-existent until like the last few weeks before the movie came out. And that's crazy because usually Star Wars marketing is on top of things. You would think because of how popular the Mandalorian brand is, how popular Grogu is, they would have been promoting this thing months ahead of time. But they really didn't. And that alone is a negative. I know I'm criticizing the movie, but the marketing did not do justice for this. But it feels like overall Mandalorian Grogu feels like a safe Star Wars movie. And yeah, sometimes safe movies can be good, sometimes safe movies aren't good. But usually Star Wars is known for breaking ground, breaking new things, taking risks. Even a movie like Rogue One, that's not one of the main episode movies, was breaking new ground and taking risks. Here it's like we're going to play it safe, and we're going to do what people love from the first two seasons, or what they may have loved from season 3 and Book of Boba Fett, which was mixed to negative. And it's like, I get it, you want to do what people love, but it's like you could have just done another season of Mandalorian Grogu if you were going to do that. If you're going to do a Mandalorian Grogu movie, make it bigger. Like, there are some things in here that it feels like they are trying to go for making it a full-on movie, like going deeper into the lore of, like, post Empire, and all that. Some of the special effects feel unique for a movie, but some of the special effects feel like we're back in the show. It just feels like they were playing it safe with this one. And some people might argue, well, Mandalorian overall feels fresh and unique compared to the general Star Wars that we're used to. But here's the thing, we've gotten 3 seasons of Mandalorian. We had basically half a season of Mandalorian with the second half of Book of Boba Fett. So the majority of Star Wars fans and general audiences that have watched Mandalorian on Disney Plus, they're used to the formula by now. The only ones that aren't are those that go and see Star Wars movies on the big screen but don't watch any of the shows. For them, the Mandalorian formula and style will feel fresh and new to them, but that's a minority of fans. The majority are used to this style. This was like the introduction to Mandalorian done on the big screen with, the typical style, but we see the style for the first time on the big screen. It would feel fresh and unique. Yeah, it would be a small scaled adventure, but it would still feel more fresh and unique. Nowadays, it doesn't. If they maybe broke some new ground and did some new stuff, it would have felt more fresh and unique. And again, I think this is the last movie that Kathleen Kennedy produced. If not, I think next year's movie is. Clearly, this is an example of them just pulling what DC was doing before James Gunn took over. If you remember back in most of the 2010s and early 2020s, DC was just throwing darts at a target and seeing which one's going to stick, and that'll be the movie we're going to make, because they would used to announce all these movies, and most of these movies would never happen. It's the same thing with Star Wars right now. They're just throwing darts and seeing what sticks, and what name of the movie they want to make is on the dart, and those are the movies they're making. And again, I want to preface, I did enjoy this movie. I had a fun time with it. The theater I was in was actually nearly packed. They had a fun time. Everyone laughed at the stuff that was meant to be funny, whether it be the cute baby Grogu stuff or some of the other creatures in Star Wars that are doing cute, funny stuff, or certain lines that the characters are saying that do get a chuckle out of you. So yeah, it was an enjoyable movie, but it would have felt no different just watching this as 4 episodes on Disney Plus than on the big screen. You just expected more from Star Wars, and hopefully next year's Star Wars movie feels bigger and feels like an event again, because I miss that feeling. I mean, if you had just put this movie out on Disney Plus, I think it would have been no different. But yeah, overall, I still like seeing these characters. I just wish they could have just made it bigger. It's like half the time it feels like it is trying to be that big event Star Wars movie, and half the time it is playing it safe. It's trying to do cookie cutter. Overall, as of right now, because I'm still processing the movie, and maybe I'll change it after the spoiler stream, I'm leaning towards a B minus for my thoughts on Mandalorian and Grogu. Because again, I enjoyed this movie. It's not the worst Star Wars movie that I've seen. It's not my least favorite Star Wars movie. There's at least a few other Star Wars movies that I dislike a lot more than this. This is probably, though, at the end of the list of positive Star Wars movies, though. But yeah, it just feels like nothing's really changed that much with Star Wars. It does feel like, though, that hopefully after, with Kathleen Kennedy gone, and hopefully with a new direction, maybe we can stop throwing darts at the wall and seeing what sticks and lands, because I want big event Star Wars movies again. But it was fun seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters again, but just wanted something more. But anyways, what are your thoughts on Mandalorian and Grogu? Have you seen it? What you think about it? And what's one of your favorite Disney Star Wars movies? For me, it's still Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Let me know in the comments down below. And when I do the spoiler stream later tonight, I will go more in depth about the things I liked and disliked. If you haven't seen the movie yet, don't watch that stream. If you have seen the movie, go check out that stream. It's going to be around 8 p.m. Eastern Central Time. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe already if you haven't. Please share this with someone that likes Star Wars, that likes Mandalorian and Grogu. And I hope to see you guys real soon. Take care, everyone.